Steve was a 64-year-old man who lived in a house in Taunton, Somerset, England. He had stopped work from his job as a shop manager a few years ago due to poor health, and now enjoyed spending his time chatting to people all over the world on the internet and helping them with their English learning. And of course taking care of his 8-year-old dog Bobby. Bobby was his best friend and companion, always by his side and ready for some fun. One sunny morning in August, Steve decided to go into town to buy a new kettle and some tea towels. His old kettle had broken down the day before, and he needed a replacement. He also wanted to get some new tea towels to brighten up his kitchen. He put on his coat, grabbed his wallet and keys, and whistled for Bobby. Bobby came running from the backyard, wagging her tail and barking happily. She loved going out with Steve, especially in the van. Steve opened the door of his white van and let Bobby jump in the front passenger seat. He then got in the driver's seat and started the engine. He drove along the country roads, enjoying the scenery and fresh air. He turned on the radio and hummed along to some old songs. Bobby stuck her head out of the window and sniffed the breeze. She saw some cows, sheep, and horses along the way and barked at them. They arrived at the town centre after about 10 minutes. Steve parked his van near a shop that sold household items. He got out of the van with Bobby. He put on her leash and walked with her to the shop. He greeted the shopkeeper, who knew him well, and browsed through the shelves. He found a nice silver kettle that matched his toaster and a set of colourful tea towels that had pictures of flowers on them. He paid for them and put them in a plastic bag. He thanked the shopkeeper and left with Bobby. Steve decided to treat himself and Bobby to some ice cream. He walked to a nearby ice cream parlour that had a sign that said, "Dogs Welcome." He ordered a vanilla cone for himself and a small cup of dog-friendly ice cream for Bobby. He sat on a bench outside the parlour and enjoyed his ice cream while Bobby licked hers from the cup. They watched the people in cars passing by and felt happy. After they finished their ice cream, Steve decided to take Bobby to the park by the river. He knew she loved swimming and playing fetch with sticks. He drove to the park and parked his van near a shady spot. He got out of the car and took off Bobby's leash. He threw a stick for her and watched her chase it. She brought it back to him and lifted her head to give it to him so he didn't have to bend down. He threw it again and again until she got tired. He then walked with her to the river bank where she saw some ducks swimming peacefully. He told Bobby to be quiet and not scare them away. He sat on a bench and watched the ducks while Bobby splashed in the water. She swam around chasing bubbles and fish. She looked so happy that Steve smiled. They spent an hour at the park enjoying the sun and nature. Steve checked his watch and saw that it was time to go home. He called Bobby out of the water and dried her off with a towel he had brought with him. He put her leash on again and walked with her to the van. He loaded her in the back as she was wet and drove back home. They arrived at their house just before sunset. Steve unloaded his purchases from the van and carried them inside. He put the new kettle on the counter and plugged it in. He boiled some water and made himself a cup of coffee. He gave Bobby some water and food in her bowls. He then settled down on his sofa to watch a little television. He patted the cushion next to him and invited Bobby to join him. She jumped on the sofa and snuggled next to him. He stroked her fur gently and watched the TV program. They spent the rest of the evening relaxing in their cozy home, feeling contented with their day out.